Chosen one, the moment you were born, the universe marked you, not as ordinary, but as eternal. There's a kingdom deep within you, more solid than time, more permanent than any empire that has ever ruled the earth. It is not made of brick or gold, but of truth, spirit, and sacred purpose. This kingdom can't be shaken. Storms will come, doubts will whisper, losses will try to redefine you, but what is eternal cannot be erased. The world may tremble. You will not. Your steps are designed to walk through fire and come out glowing. You were never built to crumble. This video is for you. Watch it till the very end, because by the time you do, something inside you will awaken. And when you feel that energy, leave your warmest wishes in the comments, along with 77, to send that vibration back into the world and energize the universe with your presence. Wishes do come true, especially when they are spoken by those who carry divine weight. You are one of them. Now like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive deeper. What most don't realize is that the most powerful kingdoms are not seen, they are felt. And the kingdom you carry radiates a strength that cannot be measured by size or numbers, but by endurance, by unbreakable inner laws, by how it remains unshaken while others collapse. You've had moments where the ground beneath your feet cracked, but you stood. You've watched dreams dissolve, but your core stayed intact. That's not coincidence. That's the unshakable foundation of your divine domain. You don't carry this kingdom by accident. It was entrusted to you, handed to you across lifetimes, through lineage, through lessons, through every breakdown that disguised itself as chaos, but was actually initiation. You didn't just inherit power, you earned it. Every time you chose truth over comfort. Every time you forgave when hate would have been easier. Every time you fell but got up anyway. Every time you remembered who you are when everything tried to make you forget. That is what made your kingdom unshakable. And you may have questioned yourself, especially in moments of stillness, when the noise fades and your fears speak louder than your faith. But listen closely in those moments. Underneath the fear is a voice that says, "I'm still here." That's your kingdom speaking. It hasn't moved. It hasn't weakened. You are not what has happened to you. You are what continues despite it. Others will look at you and not understand how you keep going. They will see the smile and never know the scars. They will hear your laughter and never sense the war you fight in silence. But that's okay, because not everyone is meant to understand the architecture of sacred resilience. You are not building for approval. You are building for eternity. You are creating a legacy that cannot be toppled by time or tide. There is a divine intelligence that knows exactly what it's doing when it allows the storms in your life. Your kingdom is tested not to break it, but to prove it's unshakable. Like steel in fire, your strength is refined in difficulty, and that strength becomes a shelter for others. People around you are already resting in the shade of your endurance, drinking from the rivers of your wisdom, learning how to stand because you never stop standing. You are not just living a life, you are holding up a realm, and it is divine. That's why you feel things deeply. That's why your heart breaks for others. That's why your path feels lonely sometimes. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your frequency doesn't resonate with the shallow and temporary. Your soul is tuned to eternity. Your heart knows the rhythm of heaven. And when the world shakes, you become the stillness others seek. Even in your silence, there is a roar. Even in your doubt, there is a whisper of destiny. Even when you fall, You land on ground that was always meant to lift you again. The kingdom you carry is encoded with memory, divine memory. Memory of who you were before fear, before heartbreak, before shame. And when you stand tall again, it's not arrogance, it's remembrance. You are remembering your throne. So let them underestimate you. Let them assume you're fragile. Let them confuse your gentleness with weakness. Because when it matters most, when the winds howl and the lights go out, they will remember your name. Not because you forced it, but because your kingdom kept them alive when theirs crumbled. You are the light in the ruins, the peace in the panic, the one whose walls never fell. And this is only the beginning. There are truths about you that even you have forgotten, buried beneath the noise, beneath the exhaustion, beneath the betrayals and the broken plans. There is a foundation that has never cracked. Your kingdom was not forged in ease. It was born through fire and purified in silence. That's why it doesn't need applause. That's why it doesn't chase validation. It just is. Steady, rooted, untouchable. Chosen one, your strength doesn't always show itself in loud ways. Sometimes it's in your stillness, in your refusal to give up when no one is watching, in the quiet rebuilding of your soul after another disappointment. That kind of power doesn't fade. It compounds, it deepens, and over time, it becomes undeniable. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to impact it. And your impact begins with what you protect inside. Every time you've been knocked down, something in you refused to let go. It wasn't just stubbornness. It was the echo of eternity, vibrating in your spirit. It was the kingdom within you, reminding you that it doesn't crumble just because life hurts. And every time you thought it was the end, you discovered that the real you was only just beginning. You are the proof that the strongest structures are often hidden, but they reveal themselves when the world tries to erase them. You've held secrets in your soul that the earth wasn't ready for. You've walked with wisdom your age could not explain. That's what it means to carry a kingdom. It means being ahead of your time. It means being misunderstood. It means walking roads alone, because your path was carved not by trends, but by truth. Let the world chase distractions. You have a throne to build, a sacred realm to defend, a destiny to live fully. You were born into a battlefield, and yet you walk like a sanctuary. That is no accident. The peace you carry is not naive. It is earned. You've seen what destruction looks like up close, and still, you choose to be the calm in chaos. That's divine power. That's what makes your kingdom indestructible. Not because you've never fallen, but because you rise every time with more clarity, more depth, more conviction. You're not easily fooled anymore. Pain has trained your discernment. Loneliness has taught you how to listen to your intuition. Failure has humbled your ego and sharpened your purpose. Every scar has contributed to your throne. That's why you don't need to rush. That's why you no longer beg to be seen. You've already been chosen. You just had to remember who you are. There are moments you'll walk through shadows so deep, you wonder if the light inside you has gone out. But it hasn't. It's just resting, waiting for you to remember. The kingdom within doesn't panic when night falls. It knows that sunrise is inevitable. So take heart. Those moments of darkness do not define you. They refine you. They mold you into someone whose presence alone shifts the atmosphere. Your presence carries answers people didn't know they were searching for. Your story heals in ways your voice may never explain. Just being who you are, without pretending, without shrinking, without editing, creates ripples that reach souls you'll never meet. The way you carry yourself becomes a map for others who forgot they're royal too. Let this be a reminder. Your kingdom is your compass. When you feel lost, return to the quiet, knowing inside you. It will never lie. It will never lead you to harm. It speaks in nudges, in dreams, in gut instincts, in the pull towards something greater, even when it doesn't make sense. Follow that. Trust that. It's not fantasy. It's ancient truth rising in you. Don't waste time trying to explain your path to those who were never assigned to walk it with you. Some people will never understand the weight you carry, and they don't need to. Not everyone is built to carry kingdoms, but you are. That's why your life has felt heavier. That's why you've had to let go of people, patterns, and places that couldn't grow with you. Your elevation requires separation. As you continue to rise, you will start to notice how little outside noise matters. Your confidence is no longer rooted in how loud others cheer for you. It's rooted in how deeply you listen to yourself. Your power is no longer about control. It's about clarity. You don't need to control the outcome because you trust your foundation. You trust the kingdom you carry. It will carry you through storms. It will sustain you when nothing makes sense. It will rebuild you when life tries to unravel you. And best of all, it will guide you to the places your heart has always longed for, not because you chased them, but because you became them. You've walked through deserts with empty hands and still found a way to bless others. You've been tired and still gave love. You've been abandoned and still chose to show up for yourself. That's kingdom strength. That's sacred endurance. And that's what makes you unshakable. Never forget, the kingdom inside you cannot be taken. It cannot be bought. It cannot be replaced. And it cannot be shaken. Chosen one, you've walked through life with a heart too powerful to break, even when it cracked. The world may have tried to convince you that your softness was a weakness, that your hope was naive, that your light would be dimmed by the darkness pressing against it. But you are not breakable. You are refined. And the kingdom you carry within you has been forged in sacred resilience. Something the world can't define, but something it can't ignore either. You are not here to fit into the mold of normalcy. You are not here to adapt to a broken system. You are here to reveal something that shakes the illusion. You are a walking disruption to the lies that have built cages around people's lives. When you enter a space, frequencies shift, not because of arrogance, but because you remember what others forgot. What lives inside you is ancient, royal, and untouched by the decay of this world. The kingdom you carry is not a building. It's not a doctrine. It's not a throne made of gold. It is a consciousness, a knowing, a blueprint of who you were always meant to be, vibrating through your choices, your compassion, your boundaries, your courage. It shows in the way you stand up, even when it would be easier to fold. It shows in the way you speak truth, in rooms where lies are more comfortable. And most of all, it shows in the way you hold space for others while fiercely protecting your own. You've been called too intense, too emotional, too focused, but those were just echoes of misunderstanding. You are intense because the fire within you refuses to be tamed. You are emotional because you feel the weight of the world and still choose to believe in light. You are focused because the kingdom within you doesn't allow for distractions dressed as opportunities. You see through what others applaud. You move when the Spirit says move, not when the crowd claps. This journey hasn't been kind to you. It's carved you. It's stretched you. It's tested you in places no one could see. But through it all, you remained faithful to your soul. And that faith has opened unseen doors. It has elevated you beyond positions and applause. Your royalty isn't printed on paper. It's written in your energy, and the world can feel it, even when it tries to deny it. You were never meant to live a small life. That's why small spaces started to suffocate you. That's why you felt restless in comfort zones. That's why mediocrity made your skin crawl. Your kingdom does not thrive in stagnancy. It demands movement, evolution, depth. That's why your soul cried in places where your smile pretended to be fine. It was never just about happiness. It was about truth. And your truth will always disrupt any lie you try to live. You carry vision others cannot see. You hear frequencies others ignore. That's not madness. It's alignment. It's the ancient code in your blood waking up when the world needs it most. That's why you can't go back to who you were. That's why old identities feel like clothes that no longer fit. You've outgrown the lie that you are powerless. You've remembered the truth. You are a ruler of realms no storm can collapse. There is a sovereignty inside you that doesn't ask permission to exist. It doesn't shrink for approval. It doesn't wait for applause to move. It simply is. That is kingdom identity. And when you embrace it fully, you stop negotiating your value with people who never saw your worth to begin with. You stop explaining your light to those who are committed to their darkness. And you walk, not arrogantly, but assuredly, in the truth that you are more than enough. Every time you've doubted yourself, the kingdom inside you has whispered, "Keep going." Every time you've felt unworthy, that same power has reminded you, you were chosen before the world even named you. You are not an accident. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Becoming what the universe designed you to be. A living reminder that unshakable power doesn't always roar. It sometimes whispers, waits, and watches until the right moment. And now, that moment is arriving. The shift you feel in the atmosphere is not your imagination. It is the alignment of time with your assignment. It is the meeting point of your preparation and your elevation. Doors will open, not because of luck, but because of legacy. Rooms will recognize you, not because you're loud, but because you're aligned. And what once felt delayed will begin to make sense. Not because everything suddenly became easy, but because you finally see what the waiting was building within you. You were not waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity was waiting for you to remember, to rise, to reclaim what was always yours. The fullness of your kingdom, the clarity of your voice, the certainty of your power. This is not the end of your transformation. It's the unveiling of what has already been true. Stand tall, not with pride, but with purpose. Not with ego, but with essence. The kingdom you carry was never meant to be hidden behind fear, doubt, or compromise. It was meant to rise, to radiate, to reign. Not over others, but over the chaos that tried to rule you. You were born for such a time as this, and nothing in this world, not fear, not failure, not loss, can shake what was divinely planted within you. That is your inheritance. That is your kingdom. And it is unshakable. You've likely felt it many times, the pressure of carrying something invisible that feels heavier than what others around you seem to bear. You've questioned your strength, not because you were weak, but because what you carry is so potent, so vast. It requires more energy than most people will ever comprehend. This kingdom within you isn't a metaphor. It's an energy system, a code, a living frequency that demands purity of purpose and precision in movement. And this is why the distractions of the world lost their flavor for you. Why superficial desires felt empty in your hands. Why what satisfied others left you hungry. Your soul wasn't meant to snack on illusions. It was built to feast on purpose. The moment you began to awaken, you realized your appetite wasn't for comfort. It was for calling. You don't just want peace. You want purpose-born peace. You don't just want success. You want soul-aligned impact. Others might seek approval to feel whole, but not you. Your identity has never been found in applause. You've outgrown the need for external validation because your inner compass is too tuned to truth to be swayed by momentary praise. That's the sign of royalty. That's the mark of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. It doesn't tremble under critique. It doesn't collapse when misunderstood. It doesn't conform for the sake of belonging. It simply is, steadfast, sovereign, secure. This is why relationships have shifted. Why people you once thought would walk with you forever couldn't go the distance. Your energy evolved, and not everyone was willing to rise with you. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. And while it hurt to release what felt familiar, you knew deep down that your destiny demanded more. Not more popularity, not more comfort, but more truth, more clarity, more courage to step into your fullness. Chosen one, the journey you're on requires solitude sometimes. Not as punishment, but as preparation. The silence you've endured wasn't empty. It was sacred. It was there, in the quiet, that your true power began to activate. It was in the stillness that your vision sharpened, that your soul began to echo with a deeper understanding of why you're here. It was never just to survive, it was to establish something, a vibration, a movement, a legacy of light that would ripple far beyond your lifetime. And now, the energy around you is shifting again, not because something external is happening, but because internally, you've crossed a threshold. You no longer tolerate the things that once distracted you. You no longer chase what doesn't feel aligned, and you no longer shrink when your presence makes others uncomfortable. That is the awakening of dominion, not to control others, but to master the terrain within. You are becoming a guardian of sacred space, a protector of divine frequency, a keeper of kingdom code. That means your decisions matter more than ever. Your words hold weight. Your yes carries impact. Your no carves boundaries that honor your essence. This is not the time to be careless with your energy. It is the time to be deliberate, intentional, aware. The kingdom you carry cannot be shaken because its foundation is not built on ego. It is built on eternal principles: truth, justice, love, discipline, honor. These are not trendy values. They are eternal. They've been written into the fabric of who you are. You don't need to study them. You embody them. That's why you're misunderstood. That's why you feel out of place in a world that rewards compromise. Because you refuse to trade your crown for acceptance. And your crown is not visible, yet it speaks. It walks into rooms before you do. It shifts conversations without words. That's the kind of authority the universe has entrusted you with. Not to dominate, but to demonstrate a better way. You are the proof that peace is power, that stillness is strength, that integrity can still influence more than noise. You don't need to force what is aligned to find you. The right connections, the right opportunities, the right timing, they're not just coming. They're being drawn to you by the gravitational pull of your authenticity. Your kingdom is magnetic because it's real. It's rooted, and real always recognizes real. As you move forward, understand this. The pressure you feel is a sign of expansion. Your container is growing because your calling is growing. That ache in your spirit, that's the stretch. That's the increase. You are being prepared for visibility, not to perform, but to embody. You don't need to explain yourself. You need only to be. And in your being, others will remember who they are. That's the power of the unshakable kingdom within you. It doesn't scream for attention. It reminds the world what truth feels like. You will not need to fight for your space. Your presence is your proof. Your stillness is your stance. And your energy is your message. You don't follow trends. You start movements. You don't need a platform. You are the platform. When you speak, the atmosphere bends. When you choose, dimensions shift. Not because you are better, but because you are aligned. You are what happens when destiny wakes up inside a human and refuses to stay silent. And this is just the beginning. You've come too far to question the authority you carry now. The whispers of doubt that once echoed in the corners of your mind are losing their voice. Not because life has become easier, but because you've become stronger. The storms didn't stop. You just learned how to stand still in the middle of them. And that stillness is not inaction. It's dominion. It's the calm of someone who knows the land beneath their feet cannot be moved. You've been chosen not because of perfection, but because of alignment. Because your soul remained loyal to the truth even when it was inconvenient. Because your inner compass refused to point toward comfort when purpose was calling in another direction. That kind of loyalty cannot be taught. It is encoded, etched into the very essence of who you are. That is why the kingdom you carry cannot be shaken, because it is not borrowed, it is born. What you've built inside, no one can steal. They may not see it, they may not understand it, but they cannot dismantle what was divinely installed. Your kingdom is not a structure, it's a state, a vibration, a frequency that cannot be touched by external chaos. You could lose every physical thing and still not be defeated, because what's in you will always rise again. That is the kind of resilience the world can't comprehend. And it's the kind of legacy that will outlive your name. People often think of kingdoms as palaces and gold, but your kingdom is not built with bricks. It's built with truth, with every act of integrity you chose when no one was watching, with every no you said when it would have been easier to compromise, with every time you forgave instead of retaliated. These moments didn't make headlines, but they made history within your spirit. And that's where real kingdoms are born. This is why you've been through the fire, not to destroy you, but to refine the foundations of what you carry. Every betrayal, it carved out deeper discernment. Every loss, it widened your capacity to love without condition. Every delay, it strengthened your trust in divine timing. The pain didn't rob you, it revealed you. What survived the fire was not your flesh, but your flame, your mission, your calling. The world around you may shake. Systems will fall, titles will fade, but what is eternal within you will remain. That is why you cannot base your identity on what is temporary. Don't get addicted to applause. Don't become dependent on recognition. Let your roots go deeper than reward. The deeper you are planted, the stronger you'll stand when the winds come. And they will come. But you are no longer afraid of them. You know now that pressure is part of the process. That elevation requires excavation. That visibility demands internal clarity. You no longer need everything around you to make sense. You've learned to walk by frequency, not familiarity. You don't always have a map, but you have momentum. You don't always see the full picture, but you carry the vision. That's what makes you dangerous in the most divine way. Your faith is louder than your fear. So don't second-guess your anointing now. Don't shrink because others are uncomfortable with your growth. The ones who are meant to walk with you will feel peace in your presence, not intimidation. And those who fall away, let them. Not everyone has the capacity to walk with royalty, and you are royalty, not because of status, but because of substance, because of the sacred responsibility you carry with every choice you make. You've stepped into a season where your decisions echo beyond your own life. The ripples of your actions are activating change in places you can't even see. Don't underestimate your presence. Don't belittle your authority. You are walking proof that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. That purpose has a weight, that light has a gravity, and that the unseen kingdom you carry is more real than anything the eyes can behold. This is why the universe protects you differently, why your delays are divine, why your doors open in ways that don't make logical sense. You're not being punished when others are promoted before you. You're being preserved, positioned, perfected, because what you carry can't be rushed. Kingdoms are not built overnight, and neither are kingdom carriers. You are being forged for something that can't be shaken, that must last, that must influence realms beyond the one you're walking in. So take heart, chosen one. The cracks you feel are not signs of collapse, they are expansion. You are being stretched to contain more light, more clarity, more responsibility, not because you asked for it, but because you were made for it. The weight you carry is sacred. The voice you have is sacred. The assignment on your life is sacred, and even if no one claps for you right now, heaven does. You are held, backed, guided, and your kingdom still stands. There is something about you that reality cannot ignore anymore. You've walked through too much, endured too deeply, and risen too silently for your existence to remain hidden. You were never created to fit into the noise. You were built to resonate beyond it. And now, the world begins to sense the frequency of something immovable, something different, something that doesn't shake. What is it? It's the kingdom you carry. You see, the final test of strength is not always survival, it is steadiness. Can you remain rooted when the winds rise? Can you stay true to your essence when circumstances try to reshape you? Can you still believe when logic gives up? Most cannot. But you've done it again and again. Not because it was easy, but because you knew what was at stake wasn't just your comfort, but your calling. Every time you chose stillness over panic. Every time you chose faith over proof. Every time you chose truth over popularity. You were solidifying the unshakable nature of your inner kingdom. And what's unshakable is unstoppable. You're no longer here to chase what isn't for you. Your alignment is so sacred now, it naturally repels anything not built for your frequency. And that's a gift. Rejection is redirection. Delay is refinement. Silence is strategy. You've learned to read the patterns of the invisible, not because you studied them, but because you've lived them. Because your spirit remembers what your mind is just now beginning to understand. You were never meant to adapt to a system you were sent to outgrow. And so you rise, not with noise, but with knowing. Not with ambition, but with alignment. Not with desperation, but with divine timing. The kingdom within you doesn't shout, it shifts. It transforms the room without speaking. It rewrites the energy without force. You don't have to convince anyone anymore. You simply are. And the world will have to adjust to that. Even now, everything in the unseen is preparing to match your energy. Not because you demanded it, but because your very presence is proof of a higher order. That's the kind of force that cannot be marketed, branded, or duplicated. That's why you were set apart, not to be alone, but to be authentic, to carry a kingdom that this world didn't build and therefore cannot shake. And because of that, your decisions carry more weight now. Your silence speaks louder than noise. Your presence is not just felt, it is remembered. You no longer need crowds to validate what the Creator has already confirmed in you. The kingdom you carry is not awaiting permission to rise. It simply needs space. And now, the space has arrived. Everything that once felt like a delay was actually divine calibration. The detours, directional, the doors that didn't open, protection, the loneliness, preparation. Nothing was wasted. Every shadow was shaping your sight. Every battle was building your boundary. And every pause was priming your presence for this moment. Now. So listen closely. Don't minimize the magnitude of what you carry just because others can't measure it. They weren't built to. You are walking with invisible power, encoded with sacred assignment, vibrating with cosmic resonance. This is not hype. This is remembrance. Your life is a portal. Your words are catalysts. Your energy is a declaration that light still lives here. Others may try to define you by your past, but they're missing the point. You are not your scars. You are your resurrection. You are not your pain. You are your presence. You are not your delays. You are your divine rhythm. And now that you know that, you must walk accordingly. No more shrinking. No more waiting for permission. No more doubting the magnitude of your mission. The kingdom within you is not here to compete. It's here to complete something. Something old. Something ancient. Something that the universe has been waiting on for generations. You, chosen one, you are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time, with the right truth, the right posture, and the right spiritual authority to awaken what this world forgot was possible. Stillness in the storm, order in the chaos, purpose in the confusion, love that's not performative, truth that doesn't tremble. And now, it begins. The rise won't be loud. It will be felt. It will be unshakable. Because the kingdom within you cannot collapse. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be copied. And it cannot be stopped. You are the storm's calm, the silence's voice, the light's witness. Walk like it, live like it, rule like it. The kingdom you carry will never be shaken. The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. You were never meant to just survive this world. You were meant to reconstruct it from the inside out. The kingdom you carry is not an echo of this reality. It is the blueprint of a higher one. And the more you step into it, the more this world begins to shift, not by force, but by frequency. At this point, you've stopped chasing external proof of your value. You've stopped negotiating with fear. You no longer bend just to be accepted by broken systems. You've stepped out of the old and into the unshakable. And now, every step you take leaves a spiritual footprint that reverberates through realms you cannot see. This is no longer about proving who you are. It's about embodying what you carry. Because you know, you've come to the edge of your own understanding and didn't fall. You've looked into the face of endings and whispered, "Even here, I rise." And you did. You rose from disappointments that would have crushed a lesser spirit. You rose from misunderstandings that tried to rewrite your story. You rose from silence, and in that silence, your power matured. You are not here to be loud. You are here to be lasting, to build something within that outlives every storm, every insult, every delay. That's the weight of the kingdom within you. It doesn't depend on circumstance, it creates it. It doesn't need validation, it reveals it. What you carry redefines the meaning of presence. You don't just enter rooms, you shift them. There's a reason you've been hidden for seasons. Greatness is not built in the spotlight. It's forged in the quiet, in the waiting, in the unseen battles no one will ever applaud you for winning. You weren't overlooked. You were obscured for a purpose. The time spent in the shadows wasn't wasted. It was sacred. And now that your foundation is unshakable, the light that finds you cannot blind you. This is the rebirth, not of your dreams, but of your divine identity. Not of your goals, but of your kingdom. You're no longer navigating from wounds. You're leading from wisdom, from discernment, from alignment. That's why everything feels different now. People sense the shift in you, even if they can't name it. They feel the weight of your words, the depth of your silence, the integrity of your energy. That's the mark of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. You don't need to explain your journey. You are not here for permission or approval. You are here as a reminder to yourself and to others that some things are built to last, that the soul still matters, that truth still carries weight, that love, when anchored in purpose, cannot be shaken. This is what your life declares now, not through speeches, but through your stance, because your kingdom is no longer a concept, it is a force. It moves through you like breath. It roots you like truth. And it protects you like a divine shield, invisible yet unstoppable. It shows up when you least expect it, when you're quiet, when you're still, when you've surrendered everything but hope. That's when your authority roars, not like a lion, but like a law, a spiritual law that says, "Nothing formed against you shall prosper," not because of resistance, but because of resonance, because what you carry is untouchable. You are not just chosen, you are aligned, anointed, activated. So now, you walk forward, not with caution, but with clarity, not with fear, but with fire. The old version of you would have hesitated here, but that version was built for survival. This one is built for sovereignty. This one doesn't ask the mountain to move. It commands the air to rise. You are no longer becoming, you are. And the kingdom within you, it is no longer dormant. It is alive. It is present. It is established. So stand tall, not for attention, but for alignment. Speak boldly, not for applause, but for accuracy. Move fearlessly, not for drama, but for destiny. The world may not understand the language of your spirit, but it will feel the vibration of your kingdom. And in time, even the chaos will bow. Because the kingdom you carry, chosen one, cannot be shaken. There comes a moment when you no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your purpose, because your presence alone becomes undeniable. That moment, chosen one, is now. The kingdom you carry has matured in silence, refined by fire, and crowned in unseen victories. And now that the world has started to take notice, your job is no longer to explain, but to embody, to walk in such still certainty that even chaos begins to reorganize around you. The atmosphere doesn't shift because you demand it. It shifts because you are there. What you carry is not an echo of trends or teachings. It is original light. And light does not need to be explained. It simply is. You radiate a kind of peace that confronts disorder without words. A kind of authority that doesn't dominate. It awakens. You are not here to imitate the powerful. You are here to remind them what true power is. Power that listens more than it speaks. Power that sees without reacting. Power that feels without being shaken. This is the kind of inner kingdom you've built. A kingdom that refuses to collapse, even when the outer world crumbles. Others may admire your calm, but they won't always understand its cost. Because only you know what it took to hold yourself together when everything around you begged you to fall apart. They see your grace, but they don't see your grit. They see your glow, but they don't see your grounding. They feel your energy, but they don't know how many nights you had to pull yourself back from the edge in silence, choosing again and again not to give up. You are still standing, still rising, still loving, still believing. And that is what makes your kingdom eternal. Because what cannot be taken from you is not just resilience, but revelation. You don't just survive, you reveal. You show others what's possible when a soul refuses to betray its design. When a heart, despite its bruises, chooses to remain open. When a mind, though exhausted, still bows to truth. Chosen one, your presence is disruptive because it reminds the world what wholeness looks like. You don't perform. You embody. You don't argue. You exist. You don't shrink. You stand. That's why everything that used to break you now simply passes through you. Not because you are numb, but because you are anchored. You've trained your soul to remain unmoved by external noise. Your peace is not passive, it's practiced. Your joy is not random, it's rooted. You have learned the art of remaining still while the ground shakes. And now, others are watching. They're listening, not to your words, but to your witness. They feel what you carry, even if they don't have the language for it. That's why your very presence is an invitation to higher awareness, deeper love, and bolder truth. You are not just part of the world's change. You are the frequency it's adjusting to. You don't just enter seasons, you redefine them. You don't just react to change, you initiate it. Because the kingdom you carry is not seasonal, it is eternal. And it moves when you move. You're not meant to keep up with the world anymore. You're meant to realign it by being the example of what happens when someone refuses to let trauma define them. When someone heals so deeply, they become healing. When someone loves so wholly, they become love itself. That's who you are now. Not because you chased a crown, but because you accepted your cross. You embraced the silent refining process. And in that quiet transformation, you became what many fear, unshakable. No storm can steal what you built in stillness. No opinion can dismantle what you birthed in surrender. No darkness can dim what was ignited in you by divine hands. You are not just chosen. You are trusted. And that means something sacred. That where you stand, heaven responds. That what you speak, energy obeys. That what you carry, no one can copy. Because your journey cannot be replicated. It was written only for you, stamped with sacred timing, protected by spiritual intelligence, and now activated for impact. So walk like the answer, move like the messenger, lead like the light. You are not hoping the world will change. You are the change, the kingdom within you. It is no longer waiting. It is no longer dormant. It is no longer preparing. It is here, and it will not be shaken. Not now, not ever.